Hello everyone, and welcome to Business Announcer. I'm Annabella Liuzzi, and today we have an exclusive interview with Tim Kennedy, the high school basketball coach of NBA Finals champ and Denver Nuggets player Aaron Gordon. Kennedy, who goes by TK to his players and students, has been the head varsity basketball coach at Archbishop Mitty High School in San Jose, California for over 15 years. He coached and mentored Aaron Gordon throughout his high school career, and just recently got to witness Gordon winning an NBA Finals in person at Ball Arena. He has played a significant role in Gordon's journey to success, and today we'll discuss how he felt watching that historic victory, what traits made Gordon stand out on and off the court, and Kennedy's own approach to coaching. Enjoy!
First of all, how does it feel to have a player that you coached win an NBA championship?
I've told a lot of people it feels surreal and like it's a dream because it's the top of the mountain for basketball. You know, being in the NBA, first of all, is something special. But to be at the top of your game, at the top of basketball, at the highest level, and win a championship, it's indescribable. You know, and that's where you see, I think, a lot of people get taken over with emotion, and seeing Aaron hold that Larry O'Brien trophy. It's emotional because it's the top of the mountaintop there.
When you were there at the final game in Ball Arena, what emotions were you feeling watching that game and afterwards?
Watching the game, you're just living through every possession, and like a lot of fans do, and as a coach, you're just thinking about all the little things that are going on. And when Aaron got called for that foul where he got kicked, and they didn't overturn it, it was the stress level and anxiousness definitely came out. But it was exciting just to see both teams really competing at a high level. It wasn't the prettiest offensively, but the tenacity and the grit that both teams showed, it was fun to watch from that side of it. And then for Denver to come out on top was ecstatic. And then after, it's just it felt like a dream, just in everything's happening in slow motion with, being able to get down on the floor and seeing them up on the podium and being with his family and all his friends. It's still getting over it, still trying to absorb everything. So it's like a natural high there.
Was it obvious to you that Gordon had such high potential and was going to be a star from the beginning? And were there any specific moments that you remember where you were like, oh, this kid is going to really be something?
Yeah, well, when I first got the job at Mitty, I was on campus, and he would have been it would have been his seventh grade year when he was finishing up seventh grade. And he was at a club practice at Archbishop Mitty, and he was playing against eighth and ninth graders. And just the way he moved and kind of controlled the game on defense and offense, it jumped off the page. And someone mentioned he's only a seventh grader, about to go into eighth, and it was very exciting to see, because it was like, oh, this guy's probably coming to Archbishop Mitty because his brother went there. So we were excited to see him come. And then his freshman year, he made the varsity right away, and it was a no doubt. They would make no sense for him to play a lower level, and he dominated at that lower as a freshman, dominated on the varsity level. So we knew he was something special. Didn't know he was going to be all the way to the number 4 draft pick and go on to his career, but his work ethic and his mindset, it doesn't surprise me at all.
What was his work ethic like?
It's one of the top guys that I've ever dealt with. I like to tell the story when we first had our first meeting when he was a freshman. The first thing he said is that, hey, I'm not my brother, I'm different, and you might have heard different things about other people, but all I want to do is get better, and all I want to do is win. So he's like, that's my focus, and said definitely we can work with that. And it was special because we got a chance to play a lot of one-on-one, and we're both kind of gym rats. I was younger and just finished up playing myself. So it was fun going on those battles and being able to kind of coach him through. And I only had one daughter at the time, and my twins were born later in his high school career. But early on, we got to spend a lot of time in the gym together and kind of build that bond and connect with hoops.
And related to what you just said, what's your relationship like with him now, and has it changed since you were coaching him in high school?
Yeah, we don't speak as much, but every time that they play over at the Warriors, his family and him, they always have tickets for us. So at the very least, we're seeing him once or twice a year. During the summers, we're usually connecting. When he's with Orlando for his first couple of years, he did a couple camps at Archbishop Mitty, and then now he's kind of moved away. He had a base in Orlando, and then this past year in Denver, he really committed himself to just focusing on basketball. So he wasn't in San Jose much at all. So we didn't get a chance to see much, but did connect with him early on in the season when they played Golden State they had a preseason game, and then the following week was their first game, and that's all they played at Golden State for the year at home. So, but talking to him after the game, you could feel that he felt that the team was special, and they had a good mindset. Whereas speaking with him in Orlando when he was with Orlando, he felt like not everybody was all in on winning, and you could feel the culture and the mindset there at Denver was at a high level, back to where he was comfortable with, because he wasn't used to losing. He had won at a high level in high school and in college, and it was not something he wanted to get used to.
What parts of his playing style have stayed the same since high school? And kind of on the other side of that, what things have you noticed that he's improved upon and added to since?
Yeah, well, I think with Denver, it's really brought out everything that he did for us at Archbishop Mitty. Is that as a freshman, sophomore, he played a lot in the post, because he had such a good advantage. And then as he went to junior and senior, we needed him to be a little bit more of a facilitator and point guard, just to help us bring the ball up. And you'll see that in Denver, where he'll be the one that triggers the offense and kind of enters the offense at times. And then, you see that he'll get down and post a lot, and they'll kind of beat up on the smaller guys. And I think they really did that in game one of the Heat series, where he really exploited that matchups early on in that first game one, where he scored almost first 10 points or so. So that was something that, he was able to do. And rebounding and defending, he didn't get much attention for that in high school because his dunks were so impressive. So, and nobody likes to talk about defense and rebounding. That's not the glamorous stuff. So he did all of that for us, and he was, just all about finding ways to win. And he was, comfortable with doing whatever it takes. And he has that mindset in Denver as well. So that's something that really carried over. Something that he just keeps on improving is just his mindset. And he had a great mindset and work ethic with us, and he's kind of built it more and improved it every year. And one thing else is his 3-point shooting. His shot has been really smooth this last year or so. So it's exciting to see, because he's always looking to get better and improve his game. So I'm excited to see what he brings to the table next year. He knew every position from the offensive standpoint for us. So we were able to plug him in any spot, and he knew all the spots. So he had a high basketball IQ, and he was comfortable in all of them. So kind of what the program needed, what the team needed, he was able to provide. So it was on both ends, where it was, he wanted to do that because he's a complete basketball player, where we want to look for basketball players where we don't want to, pigeonhole them into one position. We want guys that know how to pass and shoot and know how to make basketball reads and kind of exploit mismatches. And that's something that he did with the best of them.
One of the announcers actually mentioned you, and mentioned how he credited you for teaching him some of the defensive principles he still uses today. Could you elaborate a little bit on that, and maybe what those are, or how you teach your players those?
Yeah, I think he mentioned too that they were able to carry over to the college and to the NBA. And a lot has to do with just, the defensive mindset and your angles and everything. And each coach is going to have their own principles, whether they want to send people to the baseline or, or keep them out of the middle or whatever your principle is. And the main thing is going to be, hey, can you keep your defender in front of you and keep your chest in front and stay down and being on balance and winning space. So that's one thing, that's kind of, it's very general from the concepts, but it's one thing that we really stressed, and being able to work together as a team and cut off angles, and being connected on defense, and as a team, and then being able to guard your man, at least for 3 dribbles. So that's some of the keys that we talk about. But winning space and just keeping your head on the ball are something that it's going to translate no matter which principle your coach has from a defense perspective, and just playing off the ball as well, what you need to do, from stunting to having awareness. And that's something that he took into account. And something that we stressed that, like I said, he didn't get a lot of notice from his defense and rebounding, because he was always getting noticed for dunks. But it was cool to see Mike Malone use a lot of similar terminology when they would do the mic'd up situations, where he talked about winning space, and he talked about if you care about winning, you're going to care about defense and rebound, and stuff that we stressed, where it's easy to say that you care about winning, but if you don't do the little things with defending and rebounding, you're not really committed to it. So that was exciting to see that he had kind of found a place that really understands what he brings to the table from a defensive perspective.
And I know you spoke about watching his in-person games, but do you watch a lot of his games in general? And kind of similar to the question I asked earlier, what are your thoughts like and emotions like when watching him play?
If you feel like a proud father, watching your son, but at the same point too, you feel like, hey, you kind of yelling at the screen at times, where he's like, hey, get in there and rebound. You didn't go crash the board on that time. So it's a lot of emotions going through there, from just you being proud, and then also from coaches, like little things like, oh, you could have fixed this. So not trying to enjoy the moment too, and recognize, hey, he's playing at the highest level, and having some perspective on that. But you definitely have mixed emotions when you're seeing the possessions go on, and also, whether it be a shot or something that he could have done, or they didn't call a foul. You become like a parent too, saying, hey, that was a foul. So it's definitely a rush of emotions that go through you when we watch him play, and I love and definitely watch him a ton.
When did you start playing basketball, and what made you fall in love with the sport?
Yeah, I started playing when I was in about first grade, and really fell in love at when I was in first grade, and I got to play up with third graders, and I was a little bit bigger. And as I got into fifth and sixth, I read about players, the NBA greats that would wake up early in the morning and shoot. So I had my mom getting up early with me to shoot, at all hours. So that's where I really felt that love and realized what you need to do to make it. So I went on to play in college at Loyola Marymount for 4 years, and I was lucky enough to go play in Europe for 6 years. So that was kind of my basketball journey. But I was always a gym rat, where I loved to be in the gym and know that I needed to keep getting better. So I think that's something that Aaron and I were really able to bond with, just being at the gym in all hours. And my wife didn't understand it at first, but it was well worth the journey, and especially when we've got to be a part of their family and be there for him when he's at the draft, and be there the other night. It's something special to see somebody that you've worked with and go on this journey and had a little bit of part in that journey.
And did you have any mentors yourself growing up that pursued you or that inspired you to follow your passion for basketball?
Definitely, yeah. Like Aaron, I had my family and my friends. My mom especially, she was the one that was a basketball player, and she coached me in middle school. So she was my number one fan and rebounder growing up, and then to my high school coach John Grossi, he really taught me how to compete and just showing me what it takes to win from a defensive and the rebounding perspective, and really building off of that. And then my college coaches, John Olive was a huge part of that. And then going on, and when I played overseas, I was able to kind of pick apart what I liked and what I could use, because I didn't think I was going to be coaching at first, but looking back, I kind of stole things from all of these guys that helped me on my coaching career. Um, but I think my high school coach was the one that really, it's a huge age for you, and it's very important, when you have a great mentor that kind of instills what it means to compete and what it takes to be successful. So I wanted to kind of be that for guys that are playing for me.
How would you describe your coaching style and how you go about what your mentality is when coaching and mentoring young athletes?
Yeah, I like to think that that our main things that we focus on is our mental toughness and our competing. And when we think about mental toughness, I always come back to controlling what you can control. And that's being able to control your emotions when things aren't going well. Can you get on to the next play? And Aaron really bought into that. And we had a mental skills coach that helped with us. And when it was kind of new, and now it's, very common. So that was big for us, is not letting referees affect you, not letting, missed shots affect you. And if you can control your mind and have that power for your mind, you have a chance to be really successful, and whether it's basketball or off the court situations. So really try to stress that. And then we talk about competing, and I like to use competition where you're not competing against someone else, but you're trying to be the best version of yourself, and you're striving together as a team. So learning to do that, those are our two main focuses we do from our team, and those are what we're built on. So really focusing on, defending, rebound, and sprinting the floor, because those are things that are in our control no matter what, whether things are going bad or good. So really try to base how successful we are on if we're taking care of that. Because I like to tell our guys, if you can make every shot, you would do it every time, but you don't have control of that. So, and if you did, you wouldn't be here with us. You'd already be in the NBA if you made every shot. So that's a big thing we try to stress, is just being able to control what you control, and then having that competitiveness where you're trying to be the best version of yourself for the team, and things usually work out when you have that mindset.
What would you say are some of the challenges you face coaching high school athletes?
I think the big challenges nowadays are social media is a challenge, because everyone's comparing themselves, and especially for guys with college offers, if somebody doesn't have college offers, they're freaking out where, hey, this guy has it, but I don't. I also think it's always a challenge to deal with the outside influences, and that could be family, that could be friends, that could be other coaches, or telling you, hey, you should be doing this, or this. And it's challenging for someone to be successful on the team when you want to please the parents, also please your coach, but it might be conflicting, things that they're focusing on. So when they go out and play, they're not playing free, and it can kind of lead to some stress and anxiety. So I think those are some of the main problems that some of our student athletes are having, and it causes a conflict for them to be successful. So I always try to come back to controlling what you can control, and just that, your mindset, and focusing on the main things.
Back to Aaron Gordon a little bit. What was he like off the court when he wasn't playing?
He was one of the best teammates, where he was one of the guys, and he brought people together. He was joking all the time. He loved to have a good time. So he's an easy person to hang around, whether with his peers or with adults. When he was in high school, he had a very high social IQ and can read situations. So he was a great combination of basketball player and human being, just because he had a good spirit about him. And that was one thing I noticed just being in Denver, is that he was the one that kind of brought the team together. His friends were letting me know that he would have people over his house all the time with the team, just bringing them together to hang out and kind of bond. And you saw it at the celebration, where, we got to hang out at his house after, and sure enough, you had at least 10 guys and the coach come through. So, that's pretty special when he's got a great bond, when he's able to bring guys together, especially on a night of celebration like that.
What was your favorite part about coaching him?
I think my favorite part was he was such a great teammate, and made his teammates better. And, I had a bunch of college coaches come in, and they would tell me, just, you don't realize how lucky you are to have Aaron with his personality, because they dealt with so many top 5 recruits who just didn't have the perspective that Aaron did, and had huge egos, and, weren't about the team, and it made the coaches' lives miserable. Whereas he made my life easier, and made me, he made me a great coach, because he was able to help us win. So I think that's my favorite memory, is that he's just a great human being, who's also, by the way, a great basketball player, and made his teammates better, and was able to find ways to win. One good story is that when he was a junior, we were playing in a tournament in San Diego, and he was really sick, and he would play, and then he would go back to the hotel room and sleep all day. And then when we got back from it, we were going to start up league play in a few days, and his mom and dad took him to the hospital, and they said, hey, well, he actually has mono. So he had been playing with mono, and sometimes you have to worry about that, where you can get even more deathly ill if you get hit or something. But the doctor said he was okay, and, he could still play if needed. But he was just barely hanging on. So we had our first league game, and he said, hey, if you really need me, coach, throw me in. And but I was hoping we didn't have to use him. And of course, the game came down to the wire, and he hadn't played all game, and he wanted to go in. My brother he was assistant coach, didn't want me to throw him in, because, hey, you're going to mess up his points per game. And Aaron's like, I don't care about that. We got to win this game to win the league, just to get us started. And sure enough, we put him in, and he goes in and gets 2 rebounds, gets an easy assist, and gets a bucket. And, maybe played 3 or 4 minutes at the fourth quarter at the end, and just sealed the victory. And that kind of sums up who he is as a teammate and as a competitor, and his mindset. Yeah, I think the big thing is that Aaron just had so much. He was able to take knowledge from anybody, and he was able to take, his parents had so much to do with his success. His brother and sister had so much. I had a little piece with being his high school, his other high school coaches. He would be able to take any feedback and kind of process it, and then, hey, did this help me, or can I use this? And he was able to look people in the eyes and accept it. And even if it was nonsense, and there's a lot of times that some random fan would come up and tell him, you need to do this, this, or this. But he was such a good human. He's like, he would stare him in the eyes and look at them like they're the most important person. And then, but he was wise enough to say, hey, okay, I don't need that. Just let it out. But he gave that person the time. And then going on, and then as he got older, with his trainers, he's had a bunch of trainers that have helped him become successful. And then also, his other coaches that he has, and he's able to pull information and skills from them that just kind of add to his toolbox. And I think that's something special that you don't see, where, where a lot of people get tuned down and won't take feedback. But he's one of the special ones where he can kind of absorb it and process it and use what can help him. So that's where he's very unique at that.
Any advice for other coaches who are trying to make their players stars and want to see them reach that professional level?
Yeah, I mean, I think you got to have those, the accountability to hold them to a high standard. Because we had our ups and downs too with Aaron, where he kind of towed the line. He's a high school kid, and just being able to be real, just have a good connection with them where you can hold them accountable, but also enjoy being with them and helping them grow to become the best they can be if they want to throw themselves into this. And that's always the challenge, is you got to have student athletes that are bought into what you're doing, and what it takes to be great. And we were lucky enough that Aaron was fully bought in.
Do you have any hopes or wishes for his future? I mean, you already said he hit that top of the mountain.
Yeah.
Where's up from here?
Well, I think with Denver and what they have building, they have a chance to become a dynasty, and with their core intact, and they have a chance to keep improving and getting better. And even Aaron, they won the championship, but now they become the hunted, which is, it becomes even tougher. And you're going to have to start fighting the disease of me. Everyone's going to think that they were the reason they did this. And as a team, that's tough to battle when more people want recognition for being successful. So that's going to be something that they have to fight, and just the complacency. So I'm excited because it's going to be a new challenge where it's almost easier when you're fighting up that hill and trying to get it, but staying up there and not getting complacent and not and being able to battle that, thinking that you're so great and you don't have to do much. It's a huge challenge, especially as a human, just to kind of have that perspective. So I'm looking forward to that, because Aaron's definitely, mentally strong, but this is going to be even a new challenge for him. So I'm excited to see how he deals with it and his teammates deal with it. And he still has so much more room to grow from a basketball perspective. He still has some skills that he can improve, that he's going to challenge himself. So, and then I think, sky's the limit for him after basketball, whether he wants to get into, his singing career, his acting career, I feel like he could probably be an announcer, and he could be a great coach. The world is his oyster with his talents, and his personality. He's somebody you want to be around. So I'm excited to see what it has, what the world has in store for him.
We thank Tim Kennedy for taking the time to speak with us, and stay tuned for more engaging and timely coverage here and on our website. I'm Annabella Liuzzi. Thank you for listening.